Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson. This is Grey Wind.
And we're here to review Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7, The Dragon and the Wolf. And if you haven't watched tonight's episode, you might want to come back later because there will be plenty of spoilers. Okay, so since this was such a massive episode of so many character moments, I thought we should just move our way slowly through this, talking about each scene and not do a traditional recap per se, but basically we are going to cover everything because there are so many things that I want to talk about. So the episode, of course, begins where everybody is moving towards King's Landing. We get a quick shot of Grey Worm there. Jaime and Bronn talk a lot about Cox. I don't know why, but you know, there was a lot of mentions of Cox in this episode.
Yeah.
There was a cool little scene of Tyrion and Jon on the boat with Theon behind them, and it was a nice little moment that we are 7 years into this series, and Jon has never seen King's Landing before.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting because it was something I hadn't thought about before because so many characters were always in King's Landing.
A majority of Season 1.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a character stuck in King's Landing.
Yeah.
It's usually a Lannister.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because we're used to seeing characters see Dragonstone or Winterfell or the Wall for the first time.
Or even a dragon. Yeah.
Especially a dragon. And flipping the dichotomy and giving that moment to Jon, I thought was nice.
And then we, of course, all gather into the dragon pit, and we're marching all our characters there. And it's very interesting because this episode, I felt, had a lot in common with Beyond the Wall, as when we have a lot of characters that are seeing each other for the first time in like 4 years. We get a nice little Podrick and Tyrion beat, which I thought was really nice. And of course, Bronn gets to talk about Cox again. And then we get to see that Brienne arrived earlier, which is kind of a neat little moment. And they're all talking about going down. The Hound, I thought, got one of his best scenes of the entire series as he's talking with Brienne, and Brienne is like, I kicked your ass, and he's like, yeah, I know you kicked your ass, and she was like, Arya's in Winterfell, and he's like, good, but who's protecting her?
Yeah.
Which I really thought was very nice, which kind of gives semblance to let me ask you this, do you think the Hound's going to Winterfell after this?
I do think the Hound is going to Winterfell. I have a prediction about the Hound that I think I'm going to save
it
for that section, but it does have to do with him going to Winterfell. I think that's ultimately where he's going to be making his last stand.
Anything you want to add to, like any moments you liked of them walking towards the dragon pit?
I really like the Brienne and Sandor scene. Brienne also gets a nice little reconciliation with Jaime a little bit later on. She gets two of my favorite moments.
Okay.
They're not really long enough to they're not the entire scene, but we really get to see you get a good look at where she's coming from and who she is emotionally, which for Brienne,
she's much further along than what she used to be.
This is a huge emotional journey and a huge character arc for her, and I like seeing her stand up for what she believes in against these other male characters where previously she just wouldn't have said anything. Yeah. It was great.
Well, we of course get inside this arena, which by the way, we were looking at this, we were debating that the area that they chose to make the arena, it looked like the bottom circle was an actual Colosseum, and then they CGI extended like the stuff. So I'd be very curious about where they filmed it. I haven't watched the behind the scenes stuff. I assume that's what's going to be there. But of course the two queens are going to be the last that show up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you knew from the get-go that it was going to be Dany coming in on the dragon because
as the last.
Why not do that moment?
Well, we need that moment again because again, the people in King's Landing are some of the only characters that are the last to have seen a dragon.
Yeah.
So we needed that moment of Cersei to be like, oh, that bitch.
Yeah, well, she's not wholly wrong.
That's what she does. And then there was a moment in there that I thought really surprised me. It kind of ruined a prediction that I had. The Hound goes over and talks to his now grossly disturbing and really ugly zombie-like brother, the Mountain, and says, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, essentially.
Basically.
I do want to say that Jorah got all new armor in this episode, and he looked amazing because Jorah has looked rough for a really long time now, and it was cool to see that basically everyone squatted up in order to go there. Like, everyone put on their finest togs and, like, brush their hair.
John's probably sweating like mountains of sweat under the heavy winter clothes. He's like, oh.
John has
Dany, I don't know what's going on.
The greasiest hair, though. His hair was not on point. He could use some baby powder or some dry shampoo. for all of that. The introduction to all of them was really, really great. And there is something coming up later in the scene that I can't wait to talk about.
So Euron, Tyrion, of course, starts the thing. Euron's just like, I'm out. I'm just going to go to an island and chill.
Yeah.
And then he goes over to Daenerys and is like, well, when you're done, I'll be waiting for you.
I want to just sidebar your recap a little bit. I love that he's the first one to make a dwarf joke, and Tyrion turns to Theon and is like, what did we say about dwarf jokes? And Tyrion's like, Theon's like, his wasn't even a good one. That moment, because Theon, too, has had a lot of coming back into himself. That was a little glimpse of the old Theon, who's kind of an asshole.
Which we got to see quite a bit in this episode, I think.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about Theon.
Yeah.
I really loved that particular moment out of the Dragon Pit stuff the best, probably.
Now, let's get, they reveal the dead thing. Right? The hound is like, roar, you know, it comes out there, that scene.
A real Halloween Horror Nights scene.
And it comes pretty close to, like, of course, almost killing Cersei.
They should have just let him eat her face. I mean, straight up. It would have gone easier from that point.
But I want to talk a little bit about the moment that kind of surprised you and me while we were watching it. Cersei originally agreed. She's just like, yeah, fine. We'll help you under one condition.
It would have been so great if she hadn't continued speaking.
Yeah, if she would have stopped before the condition, oh, man, totally different show. The King of the North doesn't pledge to either side.
I knew Jon was going to screw them over the minute she said the King of the North.
I did too. Now, here's the thing, and I would like to ask you as well. Daenerys is her threat. Do you think she makes that declaration because Jon is right at the moment is the only king at the time? Because, you know, in season 2 we had like 7 kings.
She does it. I think it's a strategic thing that she did to figure out how close Jon and Daenerys really are. I don't think she did it because she had any intention of following through. I think she did it to get more of the lay of the land. That's what I think that was a total power move for her to decide how she was going to proceed.
Yep. And also, it's interesting at this point that apparently that conversation that we saw last episode between Jon and Dany, nobody else was told about.
No.
Because even Tyrion was just like, what?
What the hell? I actually really liked that moment because I despise Cersei. She's a reprehensible, terrible character.
But Lena Headey does a damn good job.
Lena Headey is doing the greatest job in the show. She's amazing. And Cersei's smarter than everyone.
I would say with the exception of Tyrion.
Yeah.
They're pretty equal.
Yeah, but.
Okay.
We'll talk about that at the end of the episode.
Okay, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
She, like, this is to me, this episode best reveals how smart and how on top of it Cersei really is. Cersei is the true heir to Tywin Lannister.
Sure, yeah, she is the daughter that is most like him.
Yeah.
And in these scenes, again, Lena Headey does a fantastic job. She really has done this thing since Cersei this season has decided to be more crazy.
Yeah.
She does this thing where she over-enunciates her words now.
Yeah.
And she kind of don't want. She does like kind of that. And I think she's doing that because it does make her come across as more of a threat.
To me,
I'm talking.
It's literally her trying to keep her rage back.
Yeah, oh, there you go. That's a good call.
But,
Good call.
I'm so mad. I'm going to say everything through my clenched
Yes.
teeth. That is her entire. She has an entire scene with Tyrion later on that is all just that.
I also liked this moment for Jon Snow. Of course we knew Jon Snow was going to fuck it up. It wasn't going to be easy. But I liked this moment for Jon because, of course, there was a quick second where I was like, oh, damn it, Jon. But then there was another moment where I was like, you know what? This seals it. This is the most Ned Stark thing you could ever do because Ned Stark would have done the exact same thing. And Jon this season, I felt, has proved himself as Cersei has proved herself the true heir to Tywin. Ned is the true heir, or excuse me, Jon is the true heir to Ned.
Yes, you've said that as long as I've known you.
Yeah. Even though we find out some other things. And then Tyrion's line, of course, that, well, we're fucked.
Tyrion has a gift for a succinct speech.
And then it moves on into this scene that I think, in my opinion, I would say is one of the strongest scenes in Game of Thrones history. Tyrion and Cersei.
Can we just talk real briefly about how they let this scene breathe?
Sure.
This is the only scene where we're allowed to pause. We have a whole, like, 30 seconds where Peter Dinklage goes over, pours himself a glass of wine, drinks it, pours wine for Cersei, gives it to her, comes back, pours himself another glass, drinks it, sits down, and then the conversation continues.
Yeah, that scene's like 8 minutes long.
It is great. And this scene in particular exemplifies...
Don't quote me on that.
What is this probably 8 minutes. What is best about Game of Thrones, which is the characters talking to... Dragons are dope. great battles are amazing, but that's what Game of Thrones is about. It's about the interpersonal relationship, and they kill it, pun completely intended, in that scene.
Well, it's another thing where, like, you know, Tyrion and Cersei haven't seen each other since the end of season 4.
Yeah.
So, like, to build these relationships up, and then that is a good goal of great writing, and you are right on the characters interacting with each other, because, there's so many great lines in this. Tyrion was like, I've thought about killing you more times than I can count. And then her being like, I don't want your rage and stuff like that. And then I thought we got to see a softer side of Tyrion, and I feel this is one of the scenes where Tyrion, I feel in every scene, about half the time he's lying.
Yeah.
This scene I felt was nothing but truth bombs.
I agree, and I thought him talking about Tommen and...
He loved them, yes.
Myrcella?
Myrcella.
Don't tweet me, I don't care. She died. She doesn't matter. About the 2 Lannister babies dying, I thought was very sweet and a nice moment for
and
him.
how he was like, I don't love your family. Like the queen that I've decided to kneel to would have burned King's Landing 7 times over, and I'm the only one that's stopping her.
Because she knows that that's what she needs. She doesn't hire the guy she's sleeping with.
Yeah,
although she has now.
He also said another great line where he was like, she decided to get the one person that could check her, and that's me.
Yeah, and you haven't done that.
Yeah, and then, okay, there was the nice little moment where he realized where she was pregnant, which to me, you had the theory that you thought she was lying.
I was so convinced she was lying.
But I think her not drinking the wine confirms that she's actually pregnant.
Yeah, I don't like the tell of women rubbing their stomach.
It was a little much.
Especially when she's not showing.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was so great, I'll let it pass.
I mean, for all we know, in Game of Thrones season 7 time, this could have been 3 months since they announced the pregnancy. So I don't know.
She's not. Like, she's not visibly. I'll give it to you when you're visibly.
Sure.
At this rate, she's gonna have new baby by the beginning of next season. That kid will be 3 years old by the time we come back to Westeros.
Wow. All right, cool. And then we go back to the Dragon Pit. We find Cersei and her army marching back out to the Dragon Pit, and she's like, yo, my army's gonna go with you. And this was a scene that did really surprise me, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy. We'll spoil a little bit. It's like, of course, she's lying through her teeth.
I knew it was a lie the minute it happened, because there's no way that Tyrion's goodness reached into her cold, dead heart and changed her mind.
Especially the way the editing of that scene just stopped. Like, their scene between Tyrion and Cersei didn't come to a natural conclusion. They didn't come to any kind of agreement. It just stopped.
It ends very much in media res.
Yeah, and we cut to that weird scene with Jon and Dany kind of being like, hey, how's it going?
They're gonna like make out outside of their high school lockers in the Dragon Pit,
Yeah. You know, and then we go back to Dragonstone, and we get a nice little scene where they're trying to plan, and we get of course, we cannot have a Game of Thrones episode where we don't stab Jorah Mormont right in the heart.
You know, just smack him. Shut up.
Oh, my lady, I think you should ride your dragon. It's very dangerous. No, I'm going to go with my boyfriend, Jorah.
He actually makes like a really, really intelligent statement, and they're like, nah, brah. Shut up.
No, Jorah, I need time to fuck Jon Snow.
Jesus Christ. My favorite thing about, I would rather watch you play Daenerys. My favorite thing about going to Dragonstone, don't tweet me.
Please gift that.
My favorite thing about going to Dragonstone is I love that table.
Yes.
That is the map of Westeros. Like, they painted it on the ground in King's Landing, and that's cute and everything, but that table's so cool.
It's 3D modeled.
Of course it is.
No, I'm saying, like, it's the 3D model of Westeros.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, they didn't pay someone to carve that. That's like styrofoam.
I know, let's not argue about the set dressing.
Somebody make it and send it to me. You can tweet me for that, please. I'm going to talk about the next scene.
Yes, so I want to get to the next scene that we talk. I have called the two brothers of Stark. Go ahead and talk about it. So this is the scene I know you've been waiting to talk about. You were a big fan.
I've been waiting for this moment like my entire Game of Thrones life. We had the reunion between Jon and Theon very briefly a few episodes ago, and this is the one where Theon basically confesses his sins as he still sees them to Jon.
Yeah.
And he gives word to the conflict that he's felt, that I felt is what's really interesting about his character. Am I a Greyjoy? Am I a Stark? Ned was my true father. Baelor sucks. Balon, I'm sorry. It's deceptive Baelor. Don't tweet me. And Jon gives him the absolution that he needs in order to take the next step in his journey, which is going and, growing a pair of ovaries and going to save Yara. And Alfie Allen is so good. He's so good. And he cries in this. I just thought the scene was so great. It's everything I wanted their reunion to be and I don't care if they never see each other again. This scene is one of my favorite scenes in all of Game of Thrones.
They won't. They will not.
Theon's probably gonna die.
They will never see each other again. Is my prediction.
This scene made me tear up. I thought it was wonderful.
I was really powerful about it because I love all these scenes that I've loved this season have been the scenes that have really echoed back to the first season.
Yeah.
Because to me, the first season, the family dynamic of the Starks, I believe, is what made everyone love this show.
Yeah.
Now, I thought, of course, people argue, no, it's Daenerys. Well, Daenerys and the dragons at the end, I think, locked in there, and Tyrion locked in there. But I think it was meeting the Starks in episode 1 was what made you be like, wow, this is a great show.
There's a reason that's the pilot.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a reason why we all care whether the Stark kids come back to Winterfell.
Yeah.
We care.
We wanted them all to get back together.
And everybody secretly wants the Starks to win.
Yeah.
Even if you love Daenerys, you secretly want the Starks to somehow get the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Because they're the one family that deserves it.
Because they're good.
Yeah. So this scene really echoed back because you do forget, and I do all the time, that, Theon grew up with the Stark kids. He basically is a Stark kid.
Theon was there from his preteens, from the time he was about 10 years old. So his entire teenage and adult existence was under the Starks.
And Jon and Theon, excuse me, are basically brothers. So that this really did. And
Rob.
Again, Jon being like, "What are you doing talking to me then? Get on with it."
I love it. Jon's just like, "You're a Greyjoy and a Stark. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, who cares?
Like, just go and be a good person.
Which I also think is going to echo something that we, of course, find out later about Jon later on in this episode, which also I think will echo hard for him next season. I now think that, I'm going to say it, I won't spoil it completely, but I will say that I think Jon finds out about his parentage episode 1 next season.
Oh, yeah, and the whole season is going to be, because he's a true son. Not spoilers if you're watching this.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
It's going to be like the season of what is Jon's new last name?
Yeah.
Because he will not be Jon Snow.
What is his heritage now?
Yeah.
And then I actually, this might be my favorite scene of Theon, ever. I'm going to call this the cock battle. This episode's all about cocks.
This is the one where we've been, the first half or so of this episode, we drop the word cock and we plant the seed, and now we finally get the scene where the cock pays off.
Not having the cock.
Cock pays off.
Did you ever think we'd say cock this much in a Game of Thrones video?
Us? No. Bronn, yes.
Anyways, so he basically beats, and Ramon Dewandé, I think is how you say his name, the composer of this show. He has an amazing music cue that when Theon wins his battle, of course, against the other guy, he goes down to the ocean and the music plays. It's a great, I talk about the music every week, but this music I thought was stellar.
It's Theon's Heroes theme. Mark my words, it's going to come back when he goes for Yara.
I'm going to, in case I forget to mention it later, we get to hear Ned Stark's theme again at a very special moment in this episode.
Not gonna forget to mention
and it got me close to tearing because I was like, oh my god, this show's all about Ned Stark, even though he hasn't been in the show since season 1. I really want Sean Bean to come back for the finale somehow, some way. So then we get to the surprise kangaroo court trial of Peter Baelish, and I thought last week. I predicted in this video, I said that I thought that it was true. I thought Arya and Sansa was true. And the funny thing about it is I've been thinking about this in the entire week, and I revealed this to you right before we watched the episode.
I called that this one was true.
You did. You got this.
Most of my predictions don't come true, so I'm really proud of this
Congrats.
one. Thank you.
But I went over to your side because towards the end I was like, oh no, they're passing the knife around. Mm-hmm. And that immediately made me think that, oh, that's code for Bran told us everything.
I'm great. Great. And skipping ahead a little bit, Bran is basically now the litmus test for whether or not things are real in Westeros.
He's our exposition check.
And if we can use Bran to unravel conspiracies like this, I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, again, we get the drop that, we basically blame Peter Baelish for the start of the series. Like, he's the one that sent the fake note from Jon Arryn.
Yeah.
He betrayed Ned. I even like the callback way back to season 1 where it was the cliffhanger of that one episode where Baelish put the knife around Ned's throat and was like, I told you not to trust me.
Yeah.
That was a cliffhanger in season 1. So I thought that Bran saying that line was excellent. And Arya just going up.
I loved how the mayor of Baltimore is a great actor. Mm-hmm. He's great as
Eric
Peter.
Arquette.
He's great as Peter Baelish. I loved how pathetic
he
and
begged.
weaselly he was. It was great performance. He was outstanding.
Yeah, because again, they said in the I heard on a clip in one of the interviews, one of the writers said that they said that this is a place that Peter Baelish has never been before, and they said they were excited to see how he was going to play it.
Yeah.
Because Littlefinger's never been his thing. So now we know for sure the Game of Thrones is not about the secret battle between Varys and Littlefinger.
No, but he's definitely played a bigger... When you see it all unspooled like that, he's played a bigger part than maybe I thought.
I mean, he started this war. He started this whole series.
Yeah.
It's Littlefinger.
Yeah.
It is really Littlefinger. And then we come to the reveal of Jaime and Cersei, and Cersei...
she's so smart.
This is a heartbreaking scene for Jaime. We get the reveal that Cersei, of course, is not sending her army north, and then Cersei almost threatens to kill Jaime.
Which echoes...
I was worried.
Which echoes, she threatened to kill Tyrion.
In the same episode.
In the same episode,
in the same
by the
way,
same means.
with the mountain.
I really thought Jaime was dead.
I was worried that Jaime was gone. I was worried when he was like, do it, and you saw the mountain, I was worried his head was just gonna go floop out of the shot.
Yeah.
I was really worried. But I am glad, because I do think this is the only thing that would break Jaime away from Cersei. But now Cersei has truly become the Mad King, because she's all alone.
When Jaime leaves and it starts to snow, that's amazing.
Oh, that shot, the cinematography of the shot of the droplet on his glove was amazing.
Jaime leaving Cersei and leaving King's Landing is the single smartest thing Jaime's ever done, and Jaime's not that smart.
But it's so in his character, which I agree, because he said several times, he was like, I gave my word.
Yeah.
I gave my word. And it's interesting because Jaime has always been a character that has been conflicted with, do I do what is right, or do I do what I say? Because he swore an oath to Aegon.
Yeah.
And he killed him.
But Jaime, in his heart of hearts, is good, which is why Jaime... And we see it in a scene that we didn't talk about earlier with Jaime and Tyrion, where they say goodbye to each other. Jaime and Tyrion are way more alike than Jaime and Cersei, who are twins.
I was also going to say, to bring up the point that this is probably one of the first times in Jaime's life that doing what he has pledged and doing what is right, same thing.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I am beyond excited to see him in the new dynamic in the North, because I love, help me out with the actor's name?
Nikolai Coster-Waldau?
Nikolai is an amazing actor. He has amazing chemistry. I think seeing him next to Jorah, seeing him next to
I want him to act with
Jon,
Jorah.
seeing him next to the Hound again, I think I'm excited for that again. Now, here's the opposite thing. I'm gonna give a little bit of an early prediction here.
Okay.
I cannot wait to see next season when Bronn is appointed the head of the Kingsguard.
Oh, man.
Because she is going to plunk down money.
She has to.
And Bronn is going to be there.
I mean, she says that that's what she's going to
Yep.
do. She's going to pay for the army. She's
Yep.
going to pay for her defenses.
And this is also, of course, where we learned that Euron was part of a trick. Euron's going to get this other army that's going to come back.
Yeah. Actually,
the Golden something.
The Golden Compass.
The Golden Company.
When she
From Essos.
When she described that, it reminded me of the end of Lord of the Rings when Aragorn shows up with all the ghosts to fight all the guys on the Oliphants. I'm like, that's what I'm expecting.
Oh,
them
because she says elephants and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna be that.
We had to figure out, we have to get another animal that the dead can convert, okay?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and then we get a nice little montage of winter coming to King's Landing as we hum the Game of Thrones theme. And then Samwell Tarly talks with Bran. Sam has the amazing reactions. So Bran Sam
has all of us.
Yeah.
Because Bran keeps saying, I'm the three-eyed raven, and we're like, what?
What does that mean? and Bran's like, oh, Sam. He's like, oh, you saw me come in a vision. He's like, no, I read the paper. And Sam's just like, and then Bran basically just lays it out there. He puts out the giant salami that is Jon Snow's true parentage.
He is the exposition machine.
He is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, confirms it to Sam. His last name is Sand. And then we learn Sam, it seems at that moment, asked him to go back and check because Sam's like, hey, I read this thing. Gilly read this book randomly. The wedding was legit. Jon's not a bastard. So Bran just pops back into the past, watches the wedding, and
another bad Targaryen wig joins the fold.
Well, again, we get another thing that not even this whole series was based on a lie. Robert's rebellion
is
based on a lie now, because we learned that Jon Snow is Aegon Targaryen.
Gross!
That his name is Aegon. And as soon as he says the name, we cut to Jon Snow and Daenerys getting busy on the boat.
You can't see my notes on my phone, but I literally wrote gross, 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 all in capital letters. Gross.
Actually, I want to say the more gross thing is that Tyrion was like lurking. And now, what do you think Tyrion is thinking in the hallway when he sees Jon Snow and he hears them?
Yeah. Tyrion is doing what Cersei was doing when she asked Jon to step out of the way. He's trying to assess if she falls in love with Jon, do I lose my position? What does this mean for me? It's him being selfish. It's him checking where he might lie.
Him being a little bit more like a Lannister and not like his normal self.
Yeah, I think that's what that is.
Okay, I could go with that. I'm down for that. And then we get, of course, we get the nice little bit of knowledge that he is the true heir to the Iron Throne, not Daenerys, which is something that a lot of people, I think we all kind of knew that.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny. We were watching it, and Jason's like, why wouldn't it just be Daenerys? And I was like, because Jon's a man.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that you assumed it would still be Daenerys.
The reason why I assumed that was because I thought Daenerys was in a more direct line and also older, but I guess then again...
They're the same age. Jon, it might actually be... Because Daenerys was born after her family fled. So Jon might be a couple months older, but they should be born the same year.
Did not know that.
So they should, yeah.
Don't care to read that you think we're stupid for that in the comments. All right, cool. Then we go back to the walls of Winterfell, and this is the scene where I talked about where the amazing composer plays Ned Stark's theme. Sansa and Arya get probably one of the best scenes in Winterfell. What did you like of this scene?
This scene was what I wanted them to be doing all season, and we got a touch of it when they were down in the crypt looking at Ned's
statue.
Yeah,
sept, whatever.
Anza. Arya and Sansa.
Is that what we're going to call them?
Anza, as I like to call them.
Ooh,
Saria.
Their shipper names, Saria.
That's gross. Those probably exist.
Saria. I like that.
Yeah, Saria, the sand snake. Sansa and Arya will never be close.
No.
They're too dissimilar, but I like that we can see that playful sisterly bond.
Yeah, because Sansa's like, oh, you're still strange and weird. Yeah.
Because Arya's like, I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. But there is a mutual respect and there's a real love there. And they proved in this episode that they are way stronger together. And I'm just more interested in seeing that dynamic grow out. And it's so nice to just, like you were talking about, to see the Starks get a break.
Well, it's something too that it's something that I have forgotten about, because simply there's been so much plot that has happened since Catelyn Stark has been in this show.
Yeah.
But the idea that was said in the trial of Peter Baelish, where she was like, "You pitted our aunt and our mother against each other, and I'm not gonna let you do that to me and Arya." And I was like, "Yeah, he did. Oh yeah, that's right." You know, like, so I like. There's a lot of full circleness coming around to the show, and I freaking love it.
I want her to name Arya as her hand.
Ooh.
While she's Queen of the North. I don't know if she could do that. Or her advisor, or her protector.
I think she should be head of the guards, or the army of Winterfell is what she should be, because she's the strongest person ever. And then I love that they started quoting their dad.
Very sad.
They started quoting their dad, and then...
Ned Stark rearing his head all over this episode.
I'm telling you, producers of Game of Thrones, please, for all us Sean Bean fans out there, bring him back for the finale. Give him one scene with Bran. Have Bran warg to the past and talk with his dad for like 10 seconds. Maybe even a scene where Ned is getting ready. He's in the cell.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
He's getting ready to go out to get his head cut off. And Bran, grown up, goes, "Father." And Ned just goes, "Are you all right?" And Bran just goes, "Most of us are."
No, he should say yes.
I don't know Bran, but he goes, "Most of us are," and then he could maybe be like, "Jon is the king," and then Ned's just like, that's all I could hope for, and then just walks out, you know. Or maybe he just comes in, and maybe the scene is that Bran just comes in and goes, "Dad, winter finally come." And Sean Bean just goes, "No shit. I told you every episode, kids.
Never gonna happen.
You never listen to me. You don't clean your rooms." I mean...
I mean, Sansa got him executed, so.
And then we get the scene that everyone on Twitter knew was coming. The Army of the Dead reaches the wall. The Night King shows up on his giant blue fire-breathing dragon and burns the section of Eastwatch down to the ground.
Tormund's running.
Tormund is running. How the hell Tormund survives that? Or Beric Dondarrion, how does he survive that?
I don't care about Tormund.
They give us a quick shot, so I think that's how they survive.
I think so.
And now the Army of the Dead are past the wall. The blue fire-breathing dragon with the Night King riding it looks so much cooler than I ever thought it could be.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
And I thought that scene really delivered, even though we all knew it was coming.
Yeah. But just because you know something's coming doesn't always mean it's the worst choice.
Yeah, sure.
So it was
sure.
cool.
Were you, let's talk about this at the very end. Okay, we are at the end of season 7.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with that? Even though most of the end scenes, some of the scenes, like they did in season 2, a lot of the end scenes of Game of Thrones tend to deal with the Army of the Dead. Are you okay with this being the last scene of Game of Thrones season 7? The wall coming down?
Yeah, because it's usually a stupid scene, like a bunch of former slaves lifting up the only white person there and calling her their mistress.
I actually think that's I
hate that. I hate the Misa scene. I think it's one of the worst ways to have ended a
I was going to say my least favorite scene was Arya just getting on a boat.
Yeah, that one's not great. Yeah, for me, Game of Thrones tends to peak at the second to last episode, and the finale's usually not great. This was great, and there was no fighting.
Great. All right, let's move right into our rating of this episode. Ashley, based on a scale of 1 to 5 direwolf heads, there was no direwolves in this episode. What do you give? That's a sad face.
Yeah,
Where's Ghost?
Fuck is Ghost?
Where is Ghost? Where is he?
He's probably at Winterfell.
I think he's in that prison cell with Sean Bean in season 1, and he's like, woof, 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 which is direwolf for winter is here. And
Winter done came.
Winter done came, master. And he's like, no shit, I was telling you every day you didn't clean up after yourself. Please cut off my head.
5. This was great. This was a perfect episode. 5 stars. 5 direwolf heads.
5 direwolf heads. We don't do stars.
I don't know.
Ashley, I agree with you. 5 direwolf heads. I think this is amazing. I really love this episode.
Best finale ever.
I was a little worried.
I was a lot worried.
I was a little worried when I heard that a lot of this, and especially with the way the episode began, I was like, oh man, if this is an all talking episode, this could get really boring. But you know what? They all paid off. They all had meaning, and the scenes came to natural conclusions with great, powerful, emotional moments. 5 out of 5. Let's move on to the predictions. Ashley, let's go crazy because we're not going to see Game of Thrones for a year. What do you think's going to happen in season 8?
I think that we are going to send Sandor Clegane right to Winterfell, and I think that he is going to wind up... I talked a little bit about this last episode as well, that he's going to wind up being a big part of protecting Sansa.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he is going to have to protect her from the mountain because I think Cersei's going to come full circle and become obsessed with killing Sansa because she used to be obsessed with training Sansa, getting Sansa on her side. The characters are very similar, and I think he is going to wind up fighting the mountain over Sansa's safety.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to never having to see the mountain again because he's creepy as shit. What do you think is going to happen in the next season of Game of Thrones?
Cersei's
going to have a 5-year-old.
I kind of wonder if we are going to lead... I think this now confirms the final battle takes place at Winterfell.
It has to.
But it'll be interesting to see how fast they move the Army of the Dead to Winterfell. Like, do the Army of the Dead get to Winterfell at the end of episode 1? There's only 6 episodes left.
Yeah.
Or... do they do like they've been doing for 7 seasons? Because our characters have gone past the Army of the Dead, back to the wall several times, whereas the Army of the Dead took 7 years to walk to the wall.
Yeah.
Or to gather, I don't know what the hell they've been doing. They've been walking a long time. Sam saw them walking in season 2.
Whatever happened to that baby walker?
Yeah, so they're I don't know how fast they'll run in there, but I wonder if we'll have a thing where it's the Army of the Dead to the north, Cersei's army's in the south, Winterfell's in the middle, and all 3 armies are like at Winterfell.
I think there's a good chance that is going to be the thrust of the season.
And it's a major, major army.
Yeah.
Or battle, excuse me. I wonder if that's going to happen. So that way we can get a 3-on-3 dragon fight. We can get a 3-on-3 army fight. We can just go crazy. I honestly don't know. I have a lot of surprises.
Yeah.
I was really surprised about where this has gone. And you know what, to be honest with you, I'm super excited for next season. And you know what, I am going to be sad when Game of Thrones ends, but you know what? Getting to the conclusion of Game of Thrones is living up to the expectations that I've had for years.
And I will say that I would rather see it end and complete the plot and then not go on ad infinitum until there's nothing left to do with it.
There you go. So go ahead and go down to the comments and tell us what you thought about this finale, and while you're down there, click subscribe.
And why not click on one of the videos that's popped up on the screen, and for more exclusive geeky content, go to patreon.com/Jawiin.
Stick around the channel, we'll have plenty more nerdy videos coming around the next couple of weeks. See you later, super friends.